Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Dr. Caroline Cousins, and I'm chair of the Department of Information Systems and Business Analytics, and I'm the host of the Atom COVID-19 Datathon Challenge. Well, it has been an exciting 9 days. 51 students across 15 teams competed to develop technology solutions to help FIU repopulate the campus in fall 2020. 15 teams competed and 9 teams made it to the end. And today, the top 8 teams will compete for the title of the Atom COVID-19 Datathon champion. Today, I'd like to welcome all the competitors, our faculty, all students that are attending, all the mentors who worked so hard during the past week with the competitors, our judges, our team behind the scenes, Dr. Wisher, Dr. Buayad, Dr. Arijit Sim Gupta, our technology team, the events team. And I'd also like to welcome Dr. Mark Rosenberg, who might be popping in and out, and also Dean Joanne Lee. Okay, so we have very limited time. So at this point, I'd like to announce the top 8 teams who worked so hard to make it here today. In no particular order, the order that I'm going to announce the teams does not indicate any ranking whatsoever. So team 1, who submitted an entry to track C, monitoring risk profiles, with their project, COVID-19 risk profile. Team 3, who also entered the track monitoring risk profiles with their project, Python extension add-on to Panthers Protecting Panthers. Team 7, who submitted an entry in the wildcard track. I wonder what that is about. With the project title, How to Effectively Transition Student Organizations into an Engaging Virtual Environment. Team 10, who entered the track Monitoring Risk Profiles with COVID Defender, Machine Vision AI-powered wearable device for maintaining social distancing and contact tracing. Team 12, who entered the track Optimizing Class Scheduling with the project title, Optimizing Class Scheduling. Team 13, solo participant, who entered and submitted an entry to the Monitoring Risk Profiles track with the project title Panther Trace. Team 6, who submitted an entry to supplying personal protection equipment with the project title Supplying Personal Protection Equipment. And Team 4, who submitted an entry to track C, monitoring risk profiles, with the project title Identifying Risk Profiles. At this point, I'd like to also announce our judges for the event today. And welcome to you also, and thank you for your support. First up, John Janarone, who's Vice President and Actuary at Assurance. Kirsty Dyson, who's the Vice President of Innovation at Southern Glacier Wine and Spirits. Ivan Igir, who is the Senior Manager at PricewaterhouseCoopers. Richard Glass, who is the owner, CEO, President of Glass Land Acquisition. Andrew Rogers, who is the Assistant Director of Accreditation at FIU Business. And and Talel Issa, who is the IT Assistant Director at FIU. So thanks to the judges. And at this point, I'm going to hand over to Dr. Nicole Wisher, who is the Faculty Director of the Atom Think Tank. Dr. Wisher?
Thank you. Welcome all. Okay, so let's get started. Okay, so if team 3 is ready.
Are you guys able to see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, let's see if the audio works. So welcome to our 2020 Datathon submission. We're team 3. Are you guys hearing that or?
Yes, we are.
Okay. We focused on track C, monitoring risk profiles. we specifically aimed it towards the FIU communities, including students, faculty, administrative, and support staff. So in order to address the track that we had, we wanted to kind of simulate a situation or scenario, multiple scenarios that how it would actually be like upcoming for this fall semester. So the first thing we had in mind is to outline the region of interest, where this would be the region of FIU students that would most likely be attending FIU. And then we generated addresses based on that region. We went ahead and partitioned the data based on demographics, based on this website right here, College Tuition Compare, FIU enrollment. So this tells us the proportion of students, undergrad, graduate, male, female. Right here, we have some of the Python code we ended up utilizing for our solution. So again, this generates the coordinates. We use some web scraping to then generate students. We partition by gender, partition by student, faculty, staff, and we included some other elements here, which the canvas, we were provided de-identified data. One include scheduling information, wireless access points across FIU. And so we uploaded that to the SQL Server, and we did some data manipulation here in the Python file. I'm not going to go in depth to cover this, but you can find it here all in our GitHub. So after we generated these points, we used the Python files to generate the data. Great, we had a list of students, faculty, staff. We went ahead and enrolled students based on the data that was provided to us. And then we were able to make a dashboard that would be able to track cases specifically for the region of interest, not the entire state of Florida, but cases by zip code. So we're actively monitoring those zip cases. Then any students or just any person that is affiliated with FIU, we would show the cases or the number of people in those zip codes who have some affiliation with FIU, that either being student, faculty, or staff. Up here we have the access points throughout FIU. With the idea we had behind this is you can monitor how much traffic each independent access point is getting. And then when it exceeds a certain quantity, maybe you might want to send an FIU alert saying, hey, just an active reminder, we're detecting a lot of activity in this area. Let's remember just a social distance. And that would be a way for all the students to be proactive and keep being reminded that, oh, we're trying to social distance, we're trying to do the best for our community. And down here is just in terms of like faculty in your sections. So right here, again, we subset the data in order to represent as if it was FIU. So right here, let's say this is Thursday. Here at Modesto campus, in this section, we have 7 faculty in this area, more than the others. And maybe we might want to reduce the number of faculty that day. Here's another day where it shows, again, this section, the most number of faculties, and you can see, and you can see other sections here and how many people would be in those sections. So I'm going to go ahead and pass the mic over to Etan to talk about how we decided to group the students for the upcoming fall semester.
Yes. So what we ended up deciding on doing is conducting our own evaluation or designing our own evaluation metric primarily based on 4 factors, of which are gender, age, zip code, and household size. Ideally, we would have step functions, very basic step functions as a proof of concept that will independently assign a risk score for these individual factors. In the end, a person will be attributed with an overall risk score by aggregating these individual scores and taking the average. Once we have these values, we're now able to classify or group the students based on a rotating basis. So the idea for the fall semester is to have a 1/3 split of students for a class that will rotate every week. Instead of going in alphabetical order or partitioning the list at random, we would want to optimize this for the best use case scenario. what we would end up doing is finding the optimal or minimal risk score aggregated across the groups, and then proceed with those as the groups of interest for the rotating basis.
So right here we have a Neo4j, which is the direct application after we applied the groups to our subset of data. So right here we have a course, some students enrolled for that course, a professor that teaches that course. And here I have just a sample of 2 classes. What you're able to see is, the students who live in that zip code. And if you hover over the zip code down on the left, you can see how many cases are in that zip code as well. So after applying our grouping, these would be the students who would be attending that course for, let's say, group 1, week 1, group 2, week 2, group 3, week 3. That way you minimize risk. So after applying our risk score metric, we partition the class into 1/3, and we'd be rotating those students into classes every week. So, again, one group would come this week and so on and so forth. Here, you can also filter it by faculty member. So here, this is specifically all the students enrolled in this particular course, and you can see the faculty member that teaches this course, QMB 4680. And you're able to see all the students and what zip codes they live in. And you're also able to track what zip codes are, maybe low on cases, high on cases. If you have a lot of students coming in from a zip code that just recently started to pop in cases, maybe you might want to cancel class that day or defer class till next week until the situation calms down in a particular zip code, especially if you have multiple students who live in the same zip code where there's a lot of cases. Maybe one of them might actually have the coronavirus. And so, with Neo4j, these nodes, you can get like a network representation of student, faculty, staff, and much more application can further be applied. You can do facilities and the different sections of FIU as well. Right here, again, this is just for a subset for a proof of concept. And lastly, these ended up being all the tools we ended up utilizing: the Tableau dashboard, the Neo4j, Python to CSV files, SQL Server for the data that was provided to through the Canvas portal to make some manipulations there for the Wi-Fi access points and the scheduling data. And that's it.
Thank you. That was team 3. So the judges are welcome to ask their questions and have the team respond. Now, we're hoping that a slide could be put up with the team member names. Could we get that up, please? Team 3. The slide with the title and names of those students. Thank you.
This is John Janneron. I have a question. So I understand by zip, you're also tracking using external data to determine what external data did you use?
So we use the Florida Health Department data. That's something we wanted to mention in the video, but we were kind of cutting short on time. So the Florida Health Department pulls out several data sets, and they have a data set where it shows zip codes and the number of cases in those zip codes. So that's what we appended to our simulated data that you saw there. When you hovered over a node, you saw the cases for that zip code. So that's something that wasn't mentioned in the video, but we use the Florida Health Department data for that simulation.
Okay, good. And then on the risk score, so are you basically trying to minimize a concentration of number of high risk in each of the thirds? Can you explain some of the thought process on the high versus low mix?
Yes, so the idea was that we'd want to minimize risk. We wouldn't want too much spreading or risking faculty and students. So we wanted to have a overview or a way to categorize a risk in which we designed our own equation or our own metric. And these metrics would be based on high to or low to high scales, so high cases or high risk zip codes by age as well, because the higher the age group or age classification, the more risk. And in that case, we would try to have 3 groups of minimal scores. We wouldn't want to have an overall group or rotating group that would exceed a threshold.
Okay. And what correlation did you find? Because I know the highest age is at risk, over 50, over 60, over 70. Did you notice any correlation on 20 to 25 versus 25 to 30 as far as higher risk?
Yes, unfortunately, since this is proof of concept and we have our own data that we generated, majority of the risk scores were very similar in terms of 30 or 18 to 30, and there was very high risk for 40 to 60 and above. That's all we can gain in terms of insight. It wouldn't be fair to extract any insight without actual data. This is still proof of concept.
Okay.
Yeah, again, we tried to, we generated names, we generated faculties kind of to represent, we generated students, so it doesn't actually represent we tried our best to simulate demographics that we pulled from FIU, but it's not to say that it's what actually FIU actually has.
Okay, understood.
There's 1 more minute left for this team if another judge would like to ask a question.
Yes, I've got, actually I had 2, but the age was, my question, age ranges, demographics was answered. But a question, health department, how often is that data updated?
I believe it's updated every 12 hours by the Florida Department of Health, last time I checked. And so in order to pull that data from the health department, they have an API that you can call, and that's at the very bottom of our Python script. So you would ideally just schedule that to run, and then all these nodes would be updated and reflecting, the accurate amount for whenever they refresh the data.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you, judges. Thank you, team 3. This is the presentation for team 1. Team 1.
Okay, we're gonna start.
Okay. Hello everyone, my name is Steven Echevarria. We are Team 1 and we have chosen Track C. Our application is live and works both on your personal computer and mobile device, so I encourage you to follow along. Since July 9th, the average number of deaths per day has steadily increased. We're one of the highest risk states in the country, so that is why we chose to work on an application that would allow FIU to be able to monitor risk profiles for the FIU community while maintaining all data anonymously. So how do we determine what affects risk profiles? More importantly, how do we go about collecting and visualizing this data? For a breakdown on how we chose to tackle these questions, my collaborator, Christopher.
To describe our methodology, I will share our minimal viable product. We created a web application using Python. We kept in mind scalability for the future and deployed our application using Amazon Web Services. Users can fill out anonymous surveys. The first survey is a one-time survey which collects the user's age, the county they live in, the frequency that they wash their hands, whether they wear a mask, and whether they smoke. The daily survey looks at the user's risky behavior on a daily basis and also considers if the user took preventative measures such as vitamins and antibiotics. Our application collects testing and risk data while adhering to HIPAA regulations. The data collected is later displayed on different granularities by primary college and by building. Our application uses the current state data API to get the latest information. Now, my collaborator Ahmed with the different risk factors.
To create our survey, we considered risk factors such as age, ethnicity, risky behavior, and the current situation. To determine if these were valid indicators for risk, we used state data pulled from various sources referenced below. We have included interactive graphs to help you explore the various risk factors in more depth in our report. From our analysis, we have found that currently Dade and Broward are hotspots for the virus, with a high concentration of individuals over the age of 65 in the area relative to the state, with majority being minorities. To calculate our risk factor score, we aggregated the answers to our questions, which are indicative of these factors to compute a risk number, which is then categorized into 3 groups: low, medium, high. To talk more about this, my collaborator, Sultan.
We made 2 Tableau dashboards using the survey data. As you can see, the risk profile dashboard will show the frequent hand use percentage and the frequent mask wear percentage. And you can then see the risk factor by high, low, and medium by college and building. As you can see, as the College of Business student, I can see that there's a lot of mediums and the business complex has a lot also. Scrolling down, you can see the daily data, which shows the number of tests taken, yes or no, and the results of the test. You can see positives and negatives. You can also see if they went to any high-risk environments, such as going to hospitals or large gatherings. Then you can also see the number of positive tests by college. You can see that the College of Business has the most, and that the Academic Health Center has the most positive tests. My colleague Christopher will go over the future implementations of the application.
Our future vision includes implementing single sign-on. We would like to ensure that users can only take the survey once. Single sign-on ensures that users take surveys only one time while simultaneously ensuring their anonymity. We also want to make sure to allow filtering based on roles, such as student and faculty. We want to track students' movements using access points around campus. Furthermore, we would like to use graph data structures to see the paths which people take while walking around campus. This allows us to see where the hotspots are on campus. On the visual side, we would like to customize our application to fit the FIU theme colors of blue and gold. Using the 25live.college.com website, we would like to collect room usage information, and we'd like to see which classrooms have a higher usage rate and a higher population. We would like to transition our spreadsheet to SQL database. We already have implemented the models and ER diagrams. Finally, we would like to create machine learning models to predict the COVID-19 trends at FIU. Thank you for your time. We hope to further develop this proof of concept.
We also have the link in the chat to see the site.
Okay, thank you, Team 1. So may we get the slide up for Team 1 so we show the names of the team members? And the judges may start asking questions.
Question, how do you gather the data from the students? Where is that collected?
Currently, we're using a Google Forms survey. So it would be on our website, and the students can just fill it out and it would automatically transfer to our spreadsheet. And we just extract the data from there.
I guess, how do you prompt them? How do you know you're getting a good distribution of students?
We can check the statistics, how many surveys we send out and how many are being answered.
Okay, thank you, Team 1. Sorry about the little technical difficulty, but you got past it. We are ready to move on. And the next team is Team 7. Try again. And this time, teams, when you are sharing the screen, please refer back to the message that I sent you that had the tip from the audiovisual. When you're sharing the screen, there's some settings in the bottom left that you need to adjust. Specifically, they said when sharing screen to playback video, you would need to select share computer sound and optimize for video clips. Both are in the bottom left of the video of the window dialog when you're going to share your screen. I guess the most important thing, share the computer sound, please. So let's try again. Team 7.
Hello, FIU faculty and judges. My name is Dino Desario. My name is Kevin Gonzalez Garcia.
I'm Keith De Jesus.
I'm Luisa Gamma Rodriguez.
We wanted to start by saying how grateful we are for the opportunity of having a community that listens to students' ideas. This is a day I've been looking forward to for the past few months since the pandemic started. And I think that every once in a while, people come up with great ideas that change how people interact with each other. And we feel very fortunate to put a tool on the table that will change how students organizations engage with their members and the community at FIU. Thank you for being here today.
Student clubs and organizations are an enormous part of the college experience, whether it's academic organizations or social sororities and fraternities. Joining an organization gives students the opportunities to broaden their horizons, learn new skills, meet lifelong friends, and build a bigger network for their future career growth. Unfortunately, due to COVID's impact on schools, universities, and colleges nationwide, many are closing their doors and transitioning to a mostly remote learning environment. Our team was curious to know how this would affect the sense of community and social fabric that has been created across different clubs and organizations, with the focus on our own AIS organization here at FIU. To start, we conducted a survey that over 200 FIU university students responded to in order to get a better understanding of their thoughts, needs, and wants as they navigate through this new normal and how we can better support the human engagement. I'll pass it off to Keith, who will go into further detail on some of the insights we gathered.
Thank you, Luisa. As Luisa just mentioned, we created this survey to get further insights into what the students are thinking during this critical time. We created 2 bubble charts to answer the questions on how COVID is impacting them in terms of student clubs or organizations. The first question that we had was, do you believe that COVID-19 will likely prevent you from participating in a student club or organization? 78% of the students answered that COVID-19 will very likely or likely prevent them from joining a student club. The second question we asked is, do you believe COVID-19 will increase or decrease the benefits of a student organization membership? 69% of the students believe COVID-19 will decrease the value of a student organization membership. I will now hand it off to Kevin to speak on the needs of the students.
We were able to accumulate a perceptual impact of COVID, but also information on student desires and interests, which we sum up under what do students want. There's student preferred meeting times for things like workshops, videos being a preferred learning tool among students, and top tech tools that students want to learn or are interested in, which we've ranked the top 3 as Excel, SQL, and Python.
We also wanted to gather information about students' preferences regarding technical workshops, likelihood to use a central online Q&A forum, and networking events. We found that 59% of students prefer online technical workshops, and approximately 64% of students are either very likely or likely to participate in an online forum. However, 56% of students will prefer in-person social and networking events, and we're going to navigate now into our proposed solution as to how we can foster engagement through an online platform given the current COVID-19 circumstances.
Our team's solution to kind of this dilemma of social interaction is modifying the AIS website to be more accessible to students. We've set up an online tutoring connection to the Atom Lab, which normally was a place where students would go in person to receive the tutoring. Here, they could just join a meeting within the given time, instead of having to go in person, which is something very difficult now. As well as linking AIS workshops, which are events with hosts like Amazon, or a speaker from Google will be there, as well as learning sessions for some of the programs we talked about. Another way to kind of drive that interaction and knowledge was to do the forum, which you saw a question earlier on the likelihood to use a forum. And you also saw questions on top programs or tools. And here we've structured it in a way that you see SQL, you see Python, and you see options in data visuals, Excel, where a student would sign in with their FIU account and have some form of accountability within this. Here's our discussion post, questions. Within the PowerPoint itself, I'd like to highlight one of our more prevalent users. Here, testing out the question format with an upvote system to highlight good answers, and it will generate a best answer outcome for anybody else that has a similar question.
The new IIS website was modeled to reflect the insights and information gained from survey data. We incorporated drivers of user interaction. Whether it's the online workshops or the forum, it's key to provide a tool that can be used from basically anywhere at any time. That being the nature of the internet, as you can see here, in the mobile view.
We plan on implementing these innovative strategies this upcoming fall semester within our own AIS organization. We also hope that these insights and best practices can inspire other organizations across universities nationwide to keep their members engaged in a virtual environment.
We'd like to thank all of you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, thank you, Team 7. So we will allow the judges to ask you some questions.
I like the app concept. What, for the people that really want that in-person networking, how does the app help them with sort of a virtual feel, but in person, to get that connectivity?
Yeah, one of the ideas was AIS would kind of help still connect students as we kept the workshops attached, which is the main reason why the website goes through an organization. The organization itself hosts social events, which would just be adjusted for what we can do given the situation with COVID.
Another way to kind of keep in the engagement too was through profile creations and having people be able to give likes and upvotes on different discussion posts that are relevant to trending topics or questions that some of the students may have.
And for those that prefer like networking events in person, we wanted to like have the same approach that FIU is having and create like some kind of hybrid networking event where we would send emails about the event to the students. And we will take like the first 6 or 10, depending on the size of the room, and they will come in person, and then the others will be able to join online too.
Second question, on the upvotes, does that trigger any information back to the original question?
We didn't want to create a spam functionality, but we do have a subscribe method that you can follow the progression of any question you ask or somewhere you post. It's completely optional. So that way, whenever you post, you're not receiving 7 emails. But yeah, there is a reflection. You just have to agree to it.
Okay, good. Yeah, too many scams out there, right?
I had a question regarding the data that you collected. So you just collected from just random, just a random sample of FIU students?
Well, the survey does reflect about like 85% direct MIS and business analytics because we asked it within our own group chats.
Okay.
Some of the people that were different were things like computer science and some like architecture, which is in that general area.
Okay. But you guys did not look at the data for students who were specifically already in student organizations who may find right now just active members who are finding things rather difficult to maintain their activity levels?
We actually shared like most of the groups we shared the survey. Like most of them are already in other students organizations.
There's a bit of overlap between us and between AIS itself and another student organization with Alpha, which has a branch of accounting, finance, and information systems. But it's mostly between those two organizations and members.
Right, but when you guys were analyzing the data, you didn't glean any differences between like students who wish to join the organization versus students who are already active in the organizations?
We did not, just because we wanted to reach like a broader spectrum of students. We felt like if we didn't want to limit ourselves, because we asked more questions than just about the involvement in student clubs. We wanted to know what topics people are interested in. So we were asking broader questions and we wanted to reach a broader audience. So we didn't just focus on who's in the AIS or in Alpha. We wanted to ask just the mindset of the students in general during COVID-19.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Okay, any more questions for this team? Okay, thank you, judges. Thank you, team 7.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Next up, team 10. Team 10.
Hello all, good afternoon. We are introducing COVID Defender, which is a machine vision AI-powered wearable device that will help us maintaining the social distance and help us with the contact tracing. As you all know that the CDC and WHO recommends the first and more important thing is the prevention by social distancing and wearing the mask. In addition to that, monitoring, frequent testing and contact tracings will hopefully help us in beating this pandemic. As you know, the first and foremost important thing is the prevention. So what we are introducing, the wearable device that a person who is wearing can able to enforce by himself or maintain by himself the social distancing by getting the intimation, audio and visual alerting mechanism from the device when a person violates the social distancing rule. And in addition that, we could also detect the person is whether he's wearing the mask or not. That's good. How is the project going on? Yeah, good. What side? Oh, this one. This is the project that I'm working on to help me to maintain the social distance so that I know how far you are. And if you go and take a step back, see, now it is green. That tells me that you're far enough and we can talk more. And if you take a step back, take a step one, see, now it should go over it. Yeah, so we are more close now, however, it's within the distance. Okay? So hopefully it will help me maintain my health and also you and the FIU community hopefully. Alright? Yeah. But I need some help on this project. Can you help me? Yeah. Huh? Okay. Then let's meet up tomorrow and then we'll chat more, okay? And a lot of things can be done. Alright? Thank you. Bye. Let's go. This is how the device works. The device is, as you know, that it's powered by MicroPython, which is a powerful tool for machine learning and machine vision applications. So the way I programmed in here is that first it detects the person like I am in here. So the person, and at the same time it also has a distance sensor. You see when I'm putting the hand, the distance is smaller and the distance is higher, right? So now it is 0.83 centimeters. So how it works is that once a person is detected and then the distance is less than 1.8 meters or 6 feet, then the user get notified either via a LED light or a buzzer or something else that we can put, our audio tone that we can do it. So once the person is away from the screen, it does not detect any person. Now it has a green light. After prevention, the monitoring is the most important step to understand the risk profiles of the persons who encroached into the social distance. However, that in order to monitor, what we are trying to do in here is, once a person is encroached, we could do a facial recognition to help in contact tracing in a case where the person gets positive in the future testing. And in order to do a risk profile, what we are trying to do is we are measuring the distance, how far the person is standing, and we could detect the cough, sneeze, and talking. In addition to that, we could also have a thermal signature by using image sensor and to understand whether the person has a fever or not. And the other metrics are total time spent, how many encounters, how many encounters for the same person. This will all give us some metrics to implement an algorithm for updating the risk profile, risk profile with this and also other environment testing data. We could do the monitoring by the face detection. So you can see the face is detected, and once the face is detected, we could say that the image and hashed image, and either we could send it to the cloud or we could use we can use offline to train the network to understand who that person is. I think this will work well even with the glasses. Yes. Let's see if we could do detection with the mask. It's not doing very well. However, that we have ability to train the images. We can take the images with our device, and then we can train the images with mask, and we could come up with an algorithm that they can detect whether the mask is there or not. The other thing we are trying to recommend at the FIU is to continuous monitoring through the pool testing. So the way we could do is we can implement the pool testing designated in classrooms or areas for all the students and staff in that area. So in a scenario where we have 12 testing sites and 12 areas, where then what we could do is once we pull the test and get the test results back, we could use an machine learning algorithm to understand who is the person most likely be the person who has a COVID-19, and we could also use some algorithm to understand how many people are got in contact with that person, and this will help in increasing the accuracy of the contact tracing, at the same time decreasing the time taken to contact tracing. This will also help reduce the cost and time to implement the testing. And also, if we combine the pool testing and the COVID Defender, the wearable device, we could tremendously increase the identification of COVID-19 carriers and suspected victims. This will decrease the cost of testing and reduces the exposure to the COVID-19. As you know, this is the device in development. We were able to implement the prevention side. We were able to detect the persons who is violating the social distancing and indicate that with an LED to the person. We were able to monitor the face recognition to some extent. There are multiple other things that we are working towards it. The pool testing, it is just an idea, and to implement that, we need FIU and other people on board. However, we believe that with the COVID Defender and the pool testing, we will be able to beat the pandemic and also monitor and also help the student community and the staff to come to the campus safely and deliver the education they direly need. Thank you all for giving us this opportunity to help the community, and hope we can take this COVID Defender and the pool testing into the next level so that we can implement a safe studying at FIU and the global and beyond.
Good job.
Thank you. Thank you, Team 10. Yes, excellent. So we will open it up to questions from the judges.
So this is through video. So it would be a forward, it would detect forward the 6 feet?
Yes.
Okay.
I can show you the device. Yeah, it's a 6 feet. Actually, it can go much longer. So the distance sensor that I implemented is it's a laser class 1 laser device. If you use 1 or 2 or 3, we could even actually project a 3D version of it. So we can have a high ability to detect the person in the area.
Okay. And it's sound also, so the sound would catch the sneeze or associate a sneeze with a certain volume?
The two things that we want to do in here is that, adding the sound is adding another layer of implementation, but we could add it. So this device has a DAC and ADC connections. So what we could do is we take the microphone input and then send it to device and do the algorithm over there. However, now this machine learning has become very, very, very powerful. We could easily use the facial expressions and kind of detect whether it is coughing or talking or anything else. But if we need it, if that is not enough, then we could use the microphone as additional to it.
What's the cost of the device?
So the development cost at this point is $80. However, this is development board with everything. I think it's going to come cheaper too. The thing is that this device doesn't need to be by one person, right? So it can reuse for different people. Let's say this can be stored in a not a classroom, but the students that are coming from, say, the apartment, or not the apartment, because the student housing, right? So we can redistribute them along with. The other very important factor is that we don't need any other information. This camera is capable of also detecting QR codes, April codes, digital codes. So we can use that information to either identify the person, identify the building, and such and so forth.
Hi, how is the data being stored again? Maybe you mentioned it, and what's the plan to protect the data of the users?
Yeah, so far the data is on the device. So there are 3 things that we could do. Depending on the personal choice and personal things, we could say, okay, the data will be only stored in the device. It can go up to like 1 terabyte micro SD card. So it will be plenty for a month. So if a person, let's say, has a chance of, if you want them, then they can hand over the device and we can analyze the device. We can rehash the images so that nobody is going to look at that. The other thing is we have a Wi-Fi chip, so we could transfer the data directly into the cloud, which is HIPAA compliant, and all the protections that we could put on, and FIU layers of FIU sign-in and all that stuff, and we could use that to be protecting more. The upside of the Wi-Fi device is that we could also use the Wi-Fi signal to look at the location of the person where he encountered, so that we can have another additional data point. We could also use a GPS, but I think that's going to be additional to this device.
Thank you.
A couple of questions. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Do you think the best way is to have it on a lanyard in front of you or somewhere else? Question number 1.
That can be determined. We can use so like you have different lens, right? Like a GoPro can go on the head, and right now we have just a regular lens. We could use a wide angle lens. Depending on how person wants, we could kind of per se calibrate it, and we can find it.
Okay.
So this device also can use as a small motors that we can implement in there. So in case if somebody wants to put in anywhere else, we could use that motors kick in to recalibrate where and how he's looking at. Just an idea.
Okay, cool. Notification though, a blinking light, you have to see that light also, or a noise. I don't know how noise would work in an environment with a lot of people walking around, but what do you think is the best way for notification for the person wearing the device?
Well, we can do multiple things depending on, I thought the LED is the easiest and quickest way for me to implement it. We could also do the audio buzzer. The best way is to maybe this device, when have a Wi-Fi chip, we can act as an AP. There's an access point to the our mobile phone, so we can link directly to the mobile phone. We can send intimations to the mobile phone, and use that mobile phone as a proxy for the person to give some intimation. So depending on how anybody wants, we could put a vibrator chip on it so it can just vibrate. There are things that we could try to implement depending on the user's choice and ability, and protection issues, whatever they have.
Great, thank you.
Okay, thank you. I am sure that you guys would probably love to keep talking, but in the interest of just keeping this on track, we can always circle back around and have some more discussion with Team 10 later. Thank you, Team 10. And so now we will move on. We have Team 12. Team 12.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Christopher Lugo, and I'm so excited to be here with you all today. I'm a team member for optimizing class scheduling. I also want to introduce you to my colleague, Maria, who's pulling up the video, and Namira. So sit back and enjoy.
Based on the given prompt,
yes, we're good.
Understand the scheduling issue from a diverse perspective, as it is very broad in scope. From the student perspective, based on our own experience, we acknowledge how challenging it is to schedule your classes, understand the different modalities and how they align with your ability to return to campus or preferences in course delivery. Given the current global circumstances, students now face even more challenges, from having pre-existing medical conditions that hinder their ability to safely return to campus or taking care of family members. Our team is particularly composed of 3 international students, which is a group in our own student body that faces additional challenges, such as being unable to return to the United States or taking classes at home while being compliant with immigration regulations. When seeking to understand the administrative perspective, we reached out to Samantha Byrne, coordinator of academic support services for the College of Business, who in hand with the academic departments and the Office of the Academic Advising is in charge of scheduling. She highlighted that the biggest issue they are facing are contacting all students to ensure that they are seeking classes in their preferred teaching modality and ensure that the enrollment is consistent with the original class capacity. When analyzing both perspectives, we saw common ground in that the issues go hand in hand.
Given our prompt and what we were able to identify as main issues, we came up with the idea of FAST, FIU's assistant scheduling tool, which is essentially a solution that assists in the planning and enrollment of students in their classes. It consists of a questionnaire that gathers information on the classes that you need to take, your ability to return to campus, and your preference on taking your classes on campus or online. Based on this, it generates the optimal schedule that in the context of the coronavirus pandemic, we assign some business rules to, so that it would minimize the risk of contagion if going to campus.
We will now showcase the interaction of a student with FAST. When first started, the student will decide whether to schedule with FAST or manually schedule. If the student decides to do it manually, he or she will be prompted to the original FIU page. When using FAST, the student will see the options for preference form, view my schedule, or request assistance. The student will provide information on classes he or she wishes to take. For the sake of demonstration, we've pre-populated 4 classes. Then the student will provide information on whether they're able to return to campus. If the student says they're not able to return to campus, FAST will generate a schedule that includes only a combination of online and remote classes. If the student is able to return to campus, FAST will ask for preference on class delivery and provide a schedule with a combination of classes based on availability and business rules. It'll also suggest alternative sections and highlight the ones that present scheduling conflicts. It'll also allow the student to see more information on their instructor. Once the student is satisfied, they can enroll, and the advisor will get a notification of enrollment.
To design the app, initially we created a process flow. This process flow varies according to the different workflows in the app. And this process flow, we have 3 workflows. The main workflow is, it will tell us what happens when a student log into My FIU and then access the Student Assistance FAST tool. After accessing the FAST tool, the student will see 3 options: schedule, reference form, request assistance. The next workflow is the profiling. So this is the significant factor in designing of a solution in which the student provides the insights into the course to be taken, their ability to return to campus, and the preferences in teaching modality. This information is used to generate the schedule and provide the data for future course planning. In the profiling, we use reference form. In this reference form, the students are asked a set of questions, such as, are you able to return to campus? Where would you rather take your classes? So, according to the responses given by the students, the schedule generator will generate the optimized schedule for the students. The third workflow is a very important workflow, that is the schedule generator. This workflow works on the business rules to provide the optimal available schedule. First business rule says that if the student is unable to return to campus, it will provide a schedule where it contains only online or remote courses. If the student can return to campus but prefers to take off-campus courses, then it will offer courses online or remote as the top priority, next the hybrid, and the last comes the in-person section. The third business rule is if the student can return to campus and prefers to take classes on campus, PAS will prioritize class scheduling in the following order. It will take in-person as a top priority, next will be hybrid, and the final priority will be for the online or remote session. PAS will generate the optimal combination of sections by ensuring no scheduling conflicts between courses, verifying that the student meets the prerequisites to enroll in a course, minimizing the number of days on campus, minimizing hours per day on campus, minimizing the number of building transient on campus. The final workflow is schedule suggestion and modification. In this workflow, students can review this form, and if they like the optimized schedule, they can enroll to the courses suggested by the system. And if they do not wish to enroll to the suggestions, they can go back to the form and select the questions again. Once the student is enrolled, or if the student does not get any optimized solution, then a notification is sent to the advisor. Data visualization is one of the important keys to provide an optimized solution for a problem. So here, the data what we collected from the students, we created a dashboard. This dashboard will give the holistic view of student enrollment dashboard, which visualizes various metrics to optimize the class scheduling as preferred by students. In this dashboard, you will be able to picturize the percentage risk of students with respect to the course enrolled, top 5 courses enrolled in a semester, different modes of instruction offered by the college with the respective department, and enrollment capacity versus the student.
Now that you've seen how FAST works, we wanted to highlight the benefits and potential that come from our proposed solution. What we've handed in today is essentially the minimum viable product, something that allows for quick development to address a coronavirus pandemic. However, we see this as a project that goes far beyond the scope of the coronavirus, something that has great area for improvement, such as suggesting alternative courses for those students whose courses are not available based on their course history, or allowing the student to block off time for their day to be involved in campus life or go to their job. Our main focus throughout the project has been on enhancing user experience. Not only is the student going to be able to find their ideal schedule, but it's going to minimize the time it takes to plan it. We also know that other things are taken into consideration when deciding for your classes, which is why we incorporated the feature of learning about your professor. Most of the time, students go to other websites to learn about who their instructor is. Using the data from the SPOT surveys, we're able to tell our student who it is they're going to be taking classes with. And the most important part is that FAST suggests the schedule, but the student is able to manage the schedule to best fit their preferences after it's been suggested. Lastly, and what we consider FAST's most beneficial feature is its usability beyond the scope of the pandemic. The same logic can be used to profile our instructors, understand their preferences. Once we have data from students and from instructors, we can gain better insight at the preferences of the university community, which would help in planning not only scheduling, but maybe what we should be investing in. Should we be investing in physical resources or in remote learning technologies? Optimizing our time has been an ongoing issue, and FAST has the ability to adapt to the needs of the university as the university evolves. And who knows, maybe other universities would like to optimize their time as well. Overall, we're able to see how FAST is successful at optimizing scheduling by addressing the needs of the coronavirus pandemic, maintaining high levels of student learning and satisfaction, generating data to improve our planning processes, and it has great usability beyond the scope of the coronavirus pandemic. We hope our project is able to provide benefits in the solution for the university and that you've enjoyed learning about it with us. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. So we will open it up. That was group 12, team 12, and we open it up for questions. But if we could have the PowerPoint slide come up with their names. Thank you.
I guess first, it's nice to see enthusiasm across the group. So always nice when people are passionate about what they do. Is there, at the beginning, you were talking about international students. Would there be any consideration in the selection on international? Because of course, it's more difficult for them to travel back and forth versus somebody local.
Yeah, well, all people in our team were all international students. I'm personally in Colombia, I'm not in the US. So I guess the idea stemmed from that need of being able to manage my classes while being abroad. So maybe a suggestion that we could make to the scheduling team is, right now the priority on scheduling is given to seniors and juniors and sophomores. Maybe given the conditions right now, we could prioritize international students first. I, for once, wasn't able to find any online courses, given that I was enrolled like later in the timeline. So maybe for fall or spring, we could advise that international students maybe schedule first.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I guess a follow-up on the housing side. My son's in college now, so would it be multiple semesters? Because from a housing perspective, it's hard to get housing one semester, not housing the next semester.
I'm sorry, I'm not sure I understand.
Oh yeah, would it consider multiple semesters on the scheduling because of the difficulty with international students potentially get housing if they're not there in person the first semester?
I mean, right now it's set to only schedule for one semester, given that enrollment is done per semester. But obviously it has the capability of adding multiple semesters. We would just have to adapt the platform to allow for it.
Right. Okay. I understand. This is 1 week project, so it's difficult to get all the contingencies there in 1 week. I like the idea.
Yes, really don't have a question. I just kind of wish that there was something like this last century when I went to college.
Would any other judge like to ask a question or make a comment to the team? Well, okay then. So thank you, Team 12.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
And now we have a solo project. We labeled it as Team 13, but it's being done by Daniel Jimenez.
When returning to campus, how can students monitor their COVID-19 risk profile? According to the CDC, contact tracing is used by health departments to prevent the spread of infectious diseases, in this case, COVID. In general, contact tracing involves identifying people who have an infectious disease and people who they came in contact with, and working with them to interrupt disease spread. Panther Trace is a contact tracing progressive web app that helps students easily monitor their personal risk factor and keep others safe. So let's begin the demo.
First, we are going to access the site securely by filling in the URL, followed by a backslash and a unique ID. Let's not fill in that unique ID so that it generates a new one for us. This app uses coordinated universal time and location from any QR code identifier to mark your history in time and place. So let's hit the main button in the middle. It allows us to select an image. That means if I go to a specific spot on campus often, I can just save the QR code to my camera roll and upload. I can even upload from the computer. So just to point out, this is especially useful when I'm late to class. Our app allows any space with a QR code to act as a location for contact tracing. So for instance, a set of chairs, one chair, or your classroom, etc. So let's use the camera to scan for an FIU check-in code. In this case, it's going to be Mango 240. Successfully trace location. That's good. So now that we've propagated our history, let's check out our status. It counts in real time how many possible contact points have tested COVID positive from your place time history. So right now we can see no contact detected. I really love that it allows for real-time updates. So notice the screen for a second. It just updated instantly. I just pressed on my laptop, which of course shared the same, but a different unique identifier shared a similar history in time and place. And I clicked the I tested positive button on that computer, and it showed instantly that based on our data, we found one possible encounter. So I'm going to hit I don't have COVID on my laptop, and it changes back instantly. So for the buttons, we've already explored the I tested COVID positive button. That one's pretty self-explanatory. It notifies anyone who shares a similar history anonymously and privately that they may have been in contact with someone who has COVID. So let's press it again. I don't have COVID. The other button here is Take Self-Assessment. This button links us to Google's COVID self-assessment test. We're not going to use that right now, so we can close it. What I really love about this app is that it allows for accessibility for anyone and on any device. First, we're going to install it. We're going to find the Add to Home Screen button, which is on any device with a browser, and it saves your unique ID in the URL so you don't have to enter it every single time. Let's add it automatically to the home screen. There it is. There it is. No need to type anything else. It looks gorgeous and use as usual. According to Business Insider, Florida told the reporters that they had not made a decision about using Apple and Google's contact tracing technology. This has led for schools to develop their own initiatives such as the P3 app by FIU. According to a Panther Now news article, Provost Kenneth Furden believes that the P3 questionnaire will show where the university stands with contact tracing. The questionnaire essentially asks if students have been in contact with anyone who has the virus. Unfortunately, there is a big blind spot with the P3 approach. According to the CDC, symptoms begin to show even 14 days after exposure. Students may be in contact with others who don't even show symptoms, and yet they are contagious. Sometimes the people who show symptoms later forget, or they don't have contact info to privately notify everyone that they have been in contact with.
Not only that, sometimes I can't even remember where I've been a couple days prior to when I go on campus, or let alone everyone I've been in contact with. Panther Trace addresses these existing problems in the FIU community. I believe this is a catalyst to flatten the curve of COVID-19 while returning to campus and monitoring risks. This app will be made open source to build trust and maintain active development for all students. Next, I will be reaching out to the SGA and the Office of Engagement for collaboration. Then we'll utilize FIU News to get this app in front of students. To continue supporting the project, I will be reaching out to my network across FIU and at FIU Center for Leadership and Service. I hope to see Panther Trace used in all schools in Florida. Panther Trace is a contact tracing progressive web app that helps students easily monitor a personal risk factor and keep others safe. My name is Daniel Jimenez. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Danielle. So let's allow the judges to chat with you.
Yeah, thank you, Daniel. Just to understand it, it's a QR code. So the campus would have QR codes across, and you'd have to take out your phone and just sort of scan it as you walk around, and that's how the tracing would work.
So usually, as an example, every classroom right now has the FIU check-in QR code. So you could essentially take a photo of that with a scanner, or if you're there often, like I'm in class often, so I can save it to my camera roll, and so I don't need to scan it every single time. Usually this, so that's how it works.
Okay, so that we remember the one time, so every time you go back to the classroom, it would update. Okay, that makes sense.
I had a question about the integrity with the information, like where you're able to check. You were checking the button that says you have COVID, and then you were able to just uncheck it. So there's a little bit, I guess I have a little bit of question regarding that, because it's kind of like, if I wanted to, I could basically uncheck it and tell nobody that I have COVID, even though I may have it.
Right.
So it allows you to unreport and report. So I don't know, I think I see a little, maybe an integrity issue with that.
So the way that I see it, there are currently a lot of people who I've talked with who do not want to share their contact tracing. Some people feel that it's an invasion of privacy. I don't share that belief, and I believe in trusting if you're using the app in the first place. So the people who don't want that probably wouldn't use any other tracing app in the first place. That's the way I reason it. Hopefully that makes sense.
It does. Thank you.
So may I follow up on that? So Danielle, so in other words, you are trying to create an app where you're really building trust with people, and you're giving them that flexibility to self-report, but you're being so trusting that they can reverse it if they want to.
It's a button on the screen. If I press it by accident and people see, oh no, it's a false report.
Okay.
We're assuming I tested, like the button says I tested positive. So we're assuming you actually went and got a COVID test.
And you really do want to share that information.
Right, and it's all private based on the anonymous identification.
Can you lock it in once you check that? You can't uncheck it?
We can build that in, but I wouldn't see that as a viable option, because just in case somebody hits it accidentally.
Okay.
All right, well, thank you. Very interesting, Danielle, thank you. So we will move on now to another solo project. We have Pablo Val. I might have said that wrong. I apologize if I pronounced it incorrectly.
Yes, Pablo Valle.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so Team 6 was his designation.
Good afternoon, members of the committee. My name is Pablo Valle. I'm a grad student here
Sorry,
at
Pablo,
FIU.
sorry.
My mentors are Natalie
Sorry, if you could just put the volume down just a little.
Hernandez and Shivam Panchal. And we are participating in this COVID-19 Datathon, pioneering higher education during a pandemic. Our track is Track D, where we are tasked with how we would supply students, faculty, and other members of the university to provide these resources such as hand sanitizers and gloves, and how we could provide reliable availability of affordable items to students. So as we see the world today, we know the impact that COVID-19 has done to our community, from the way that we work, shop, and go to school. The data that we have analyzed have shown that Miami-Dade, Broward, and Palm Beach counties hold the highest record of confirmed COVID-19 cases, making South Florida a hotspot for this highly contagious disease. For every 15 individuals that are tested in Florida, 2 are diagnosed as positive for COVID-19. This just highlights the amount of how contagious this disease really is. Florida International University, based on emails that have been sent and we've received, will reopen its doors to students, faculty, and staff, where classrooms and offices will be at 15 or 30% capacity. The university is currently taking precautions to mitigate the risk and help prevent the spread of this disease, as well as spreading out some testing to better inform and make awareness towards our community. So to start off our research, we looked at the cost of education for undergrad and graduate students. Based on Business Insider, they expect like a 10 to 20% decline in enrollment. Based on this finding, we actually adjusted our numbers to include how our numbers would look when including this 10 to 20% decline. It looks around 38% of FIU's revenue includes tuition and student fees, which will cause a direct risk to its revenue. What we see here is when we did a comparative analysis, what we did was we have the original tuition and fees on the left, and we reallocated some of the funds that could be used for resources, such as what we see here is board and transportation, as well as rooms, since these are resources the university won't be needed so much. We would cut these costs and reallocate them towards our resources. And you see here that based on these numbers, they really do not make a difference as far as how costs would be affected for students. What we see here on top is our updated table on the cost of education and how these funds will be allocated towards these resources. We came up with a number here of $121.05 on how much these supplies would cost the university or the student, and this is all based on Amazon numbers, the cost of one unit of these items. We got the lowest and then the highest cost, and we based our numbers based on the average. On our third table here, we made kind of like we summarized it all into how we would split the package. This includes about 40 masks, 30 pairs of gloves, 25 small hand sanitizer bottles, and 5 face shields with this adjustment in cost. So this pretty much what it does is we've cut off the cost for some of these some of these expenses that would no longer be needed or for the education, and we have moved it towards these resources. As a result, students should not be impacted in this change, and the university would help in supplying these resources. In the end here, it's pretty much our numbers adjusted to include our newly reallocation and with a 10 to 20% decline that we have noted earlier, as well as our cost of help. So this is just a comparison, and as you see here, it does not make a difference. And now to the dashboard. As you see here, we include our first tab, which is the COVID-19 summary. It wouldn't be a COVID-19 project without some COVID-19 metrics. So we have here our confirmed cases, or death, or what are deaths, the amount of deaths that look as of July 23. We also included something pretty cool, which is the testing results in Florida. So you can see here the negative results pending. See, it looks like it's going up and down, but the rate it's going up, and as well as how many are being confirmed as positive. And you definitely see it through this geo map that South Florida is the hotspot, specifically our side. So it just definitely brings awareness, and it's a friendly reminder of why we should keep our inventory on track. What we did here was we pulled up some data, this data set from Minnesota, and it was pretty neat because it included a lot of the stuff that we were looking for. Our dashboard, the goal of our dashboard is to have this inventory supply chain management tool that could be used for the university in how we could provide a status on what's the current inventory, what's expected, as well as how we could track our suppliers and how we could build these relationships based on this information and tools. So on the left side, we see here the days on hand for the tools that we currently have. So that includes the face masks, the face shields, gloves, and hand sanitizers. And it just pretty much shows how many days we've had it on hand. And what we have here is the legend, or the hue, would be the source of where these resources would be coming from. So is this currently in the warehouse, university, or is this waiting delivery? On the right side, we have some metrics as far as what's been on hand, what's currently in the warehouse, university, just pretty much a summary, just a large overview of exactly what's going on with our current inventory. As far as our inventory management, this is it's pretty interesting. So on the left side, we see how many how our resources have been, if they've been obtained, and if they've been distributed. Also, as here in the hue, we have the source. So if it's coming from procurement, obviously most of it will be from the university side, federal government, or donations. And then we tabled it out as far as how many have been ordered, how many have been delivered, and the next three fields are most expected delivery for these resources. And then on the last field here is the past due, to understand how much is being, how much really is past due, and just to better keep track of it and follow up on these items. In the last table here, we have our list of suppliers. So we mapped it out from a website called thomasnet.com, which just outlines all the suppliers, COVID-19 suppliers, and we outlined which of these suppliers are located in South Florida. And it's really grouped by the resource, so face shields. If you want to look at the gloves, and then you'd see where these companies are located. Obviously, we had to include Florida International University, and you could see how far apart these suppliers are located from the university. Now back to our presentation. These are the list of references. We collected a lot of data, but specifically Minnesota, the government of Minnesota, they definitely provide a lot of useful stuff for our dashboard. Our Florida Health COVID, of course. ThomasNet, just to highlight for you guys, is where we got a lot of our supplier information. And for those interested, we included the website for contact information. And that's it.
Thank you, Pablo. So open it up to the judges.
And I may have missed it, so I'm going to ask my first stupid question of the day.
No worries, no stupid questions.
Oh, thank you. You might have several more then. Do you have delivery times for supplies in your data?
Yeah, it wasn't a time. It was the starting week where the projects were ordered. The resources were ordered. First of the week.
Okay. All right. And do you have FIU as a provider of some of the supplies needed?
No, what I have was more towards the distributors that were coming from outside.
Okay.
For the university
FIU might be a resource for you also, just FYI.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there a forecasting tool inside of it? It's funny. This is my real world on some of the day-to-day, but part of the inventory management is on looking at trends on supply and then building a forecast in that.
Yeah, so we were actually looking at different things. We didn't push it more towards other things like forecasting. We're looking at different like ORIMA forecasting for as far as like the COVID, where COVID was going. And I was also looking into kind of like the Monte Carlo simulation as far as pricing optimization. These are that I was definitely looking into. But we just didn't get the chance due to time.
Mm-hmm.
The main objective that I was trying to go for was trying to create a supply chain inventory management dashboard, one-stop shop where we could not only track our inventory, but as well as our current inventory, but also track of where it was going forward and keep a listing track of our suppliers.
Mm-hmm.
Objective, one-stop shop.
Mm-hmm. I work closely with Dr. Zahedi on. I participate in a panel in a conference with him once a year. He'd be a good resource to get one of his statisticians on it.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Any more questions? Okay. Well, thank you, Pablo. Well done. So now we're moving on to our last team to present, and that is Team 4.
Hi. Hello. Lindsay, are you available?
Yes. Hello.
I do want to make a slight correction really quick. We did, I was under the, I apologize. I thought we were Team 8. So in the video, it'll reflect Team 8, but just remember we're Team 4.
It's possible that I made a mistake, but regardless, noted, no problem. Let's go ahead.
Okay, Wenxi, so you can start sharing your screen and the video whenever you can, okay?
Okay.
Thank you.
Hi, welcome. This is Team 8's Identifying Risk Profiles for FIU Datathon 2020. My name is Trenton.
My name is Ramu.
This is Wenxi.
And we'd like to introduce our take on Track C, Monitoring Risk Profiles. Our proposal originated with the idea that a survey will be conducted to provide us with information to compare FIU community factors versus additional community factors like county. However, in our data collection, we found that we had ample amount of data from the student population to create accurate models to monitor risk profiles. The models that we've created can be split into two elements: risk of getting infected and propensity of infecting. Our models indicate the key points of detecting risk profiles by age, by generation, gender, and residency status. I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to Ramu to give us further insight into risk of getting it.
Thank you, Trenton. So this graph is showing the risk of getting it, or as we call it, ROG. And basically, we are using, again, the characteristics that Trenton spoke about, and we are dividing it by the number of emergency visits, hospitalized, and death. As you can see in here, we combined all of those three elements, and we see that baby boomer male residents have the highest risk profile. Then in the next slide, we can see those components divided. So we have hospitalized in the left corner, and then we have ED visits and risk of death. We can see that, for example, for all of our graphs, we have for risk of getting it, the highest would be baby boomers, again, male and residents. And then, for example, in ED visit, we can see that even though females have the highest risk of getting it for hospitalized and for deaths, they have a lower profile when it comes to ED visits. Wensi will continue with propensity of getting it.
Thank you, Ramu. So then we're interested in understanding the propensity of giving COVID-19 to their generation. So therefore, we did plot the number of people that get affected in 14 days versus the number of people that will get affected 14 days later, and we apply the third degree, and we apply the polynomial fit to it. And based on this, we get the equation of the speed of infection for 4 different generations, which is the millennials, baby boomer, Gen X, and Gen Z, that will fit our student profile. And could you help me to click on it, Ramu? And here, as you can see, based on the equation we get, we did get the speed of infection based on the based on our model. And as you can see here, the millennials is the generation that will have the highest propensity of giving COVID-19 to their people, and Gen Z will be the generation that has the least lowest speed of infection. We also calculated the Z-score, which also shows the above information. And next, I will hand it to my roommate Ramun to explain how we apply all our findings to the FIU community.
So in here we have ROG versus POI and how we're gonna apply it to FIU campus. So using this algorithm, were developed with no requirements of survey, because we already have the FIU data collected through FIU AIM. And we basically recorded the student generation, and below that we have a table that shows the risk of getting it in the rows, and then the columns will show the propensity of infection. So if we are in the green side of this table, it means that we're safe. And then the red would indicate that there is more chances of being spread. Trenton will continue with the conclusion.
Yes. And what it is that we are offering FIU Datathon is we offer an analytical algorithm formula that provides further insight into the risks of getting infected and the propensity of infection. And this is done by generation, of course, but these formulas, or this formula, can be used in parallel with multiple technologies and methods to provide, let's say, live alerts via triangulation or even class sizing, and even more. The possibilities are endless. So with that being said, I would like to say thank you for your time, for watching Teammates Datathon submission.
Thank you.
Okay, so thank you, Team 4, and we open it up to questions.
So on the risk profiles, I think we understand that the older you are, the higher the risk would be. What type of applications, because you mentioned, I guess, on specific class, would you apply this to individual classes that have higher age profiles? I'm not sure of the conclusion.
Can you repeat the question again? So in
Sure.
which?
Yeah, I
Sorry.
understand fitting the curves to the data, which basically says that the higher the age, the more likely either for contraction and therefore potential spread of it. But how would you apply those conclusions to the FIU?
So how would we apply that conclusion to FIU? Basically, we have the data for the ages on campus. So that's why we separated it by the profiles of, generations.
Right.
And then we are, sorry, go ahead.
In addition, if we could explain a little more about the triangulation that we had.
Yes. Okay, I think that was a question, right? Sorry.
Yeah,
Go ahead, Trenton.
No, I'll actually, if I could leave that to you. It's about the triangulation, something that you had
Yeah, so
spoken with.
basically, there is already technology outside where you're able to have an application in your phone, and it kind of measures the waves, so like any sounds around you, so it kind of detects the length of people apart. I don't know if I'm explaining myself right, but if you're in a table, you're able, like your phone is gonna be able to figure out how many people are around you. And since you already have that profile in your phone, then they're gonna know, okay, you are a Generation Z with this characteristics. So you should be careful because there's someone in that, could be a threat to you, let's say, when it comes to spreading and stuff like that. Sorry.
Okay. Okay, that makes sense.
Other questions for the group? Comments? Well, okay then. So miraculously, we have actually held to our time and we are completed with all the presentations at 4 p.m. So thank you to all of the teams that worked so diligently during the past week and have shared with us the fruits of their labor today. I personally enjoyed it very much. Thank you all. And now we will be breaking off to allow the judges to do their scoring, and then we will be resuming at 6 p.m. for announcing the winners. So let me just check. Dr. Cousins, would you like to say some final words before we close off of this session?
Thank you, Dr. Wishart. I do echo your sentiments. I was really impressed with these 8 projects. They were diverse. They tackled different aspects of the challenges that we're going to be facing. And I would like to just congratulate the participants because I could really see the fruits of your labor over these 9 days. And so I want to encourage you that even though you might not rise to the top 2 spots, that you're still champions in my eyes, and that these projects are very, very worthy of implementation. Okay, so at this point, we're going to sign off for now so that we can tabulate the results. And please come back at 6 o'clock where we will announce the champions of the Atom COVID-19 Datathon. Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Atom COVID-19 Datathon Awards presentation and closing event. I'm Dr. Carleen Cousins, Chair of the Department of Information Systems and Business Analytics and host of the Atom COVID-19 Datathon. So the moment that you have been waiting for has arrived. We have over the past 9 days, 51 students formed 9 teams to develop innovations that can help our FIU community to pioneer higher education during a pandemic. And now I'm going to turn over to the Atom Advisory Board Chair, Mr. Leo Cordero, to announce the winners. Mr. Cordero?
Hey, Carleen, thank you. Hey, everybody. All right, so the moment we've all been waiting for. First of all, thank you for all the teams that participated. And it's been a long week, I'm sure. And that was an incredible performance to have done all that in such a short amount of time. But let's get right to the third place winner. So if someone could move forward on the, all right, team 12, third place. Congratulations to Optimizing Class Scheduling by Maria Diaz, Christopher Lugo, and Namitha Patil. So congratulations to Team 12, they're our third place winner. And now to the second place winner. Team 6, Supplying Personal Protection. Pablo Valle, congratulations, Pablo. All by yourself, you did a great job. And finally, the first place winner for the 2019 Datathon, Team 10, COVID Defender, the machine vision AI powered wearable device for maintaining social distancing and contact tracing. Anil Thorta and Mahun Zhao, congratulations for our first place winning of the 2019 Datathon, Atom COVID-19. Sorry, Datathon 2020. So congratulations to all. Fantastic that you did that in such a short amount of time, guys. We're really proud of our students. And then all Datathon mentors are going to receive a badge that they could place in their social media for an outstanding mentor. And all the judges, thank you so much for your time and your evaluation. And we will also forward a badge that you could use as well. So thank you, everybody. And hopefully see you soon in the next time when we do something like this in the near future.
Okay, so this brings us to the end of a momentous event in FIU's history. And I must say that it really has been a very humbling experience as your professor to witness the brilliance of the FIU community and how we all came together to work towards providing solutions for our community. I want to congratulate every single student that participated because you gave your heart and soul to the mission of the Datathon. And even though we could award only 3 prizes, initially it was only 2, but we expanded it to 3 prizes. You're all winners in my book. I will make every effort to make sure that your endeavors and your achievements are all recognized. And I know that Dean Lee is lurking around, so I was wondering if you'd want to say a few words. You know, I put her on the spot, I know. Dean, are you here?
Yes, I am.
Okay, wonderful.
Can you hear me? But I don't think I can join video. But in any way, I actually watched this afternoon. I was very excited to see everybody work so hard and very innovative. I learned a lot from our students. All right, somehow now I can. Let me see.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, can you see me now?
Yes.
Okay, fantastic. I just want to say this afternoon, I was able to listen on to a lot of our students and see that they did really well. And I'm very proud. It brought a lot of joy to my heart. And there's a lot of innovation going on, and students not afraid to think critically and independently. And also big part is I heard all the questions from the judges. I mean, they are really serious about, you know, the project the student presented. And also I cannot be more proud that our colleagues, you know, converting this crisis into something that we can be all moving forward, be productive. There is nothing that can stop us in that regard. And I really, you know, feel very, very much excited about our students and our colleagues put together. And I think Nicole has done a fantastic job hosting it, and I really appreciate it. I know I was actually just logging in and wasn't able to ask a lot of questions, but I was quietly taking notes. And I feel like this has been a fantastic journey. Thank you so much to Nicole, Colleen, and all our colleagues for doing that. And thank you so much to the judges. And I want to give a shout out to the interdisciplinary teams. This is fantastic that you're able to work across your field and discipline and pull your talent together. And that is what higher education is about. And you just make us so very proud. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dean Lee. And I apologize for putting you on the spot, but I know that you will.
I love them, not at all.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. And thanks for being one of the champions of the Datathon and for your support. Also, there's a group of individuals that from industry, believe it or not, that conceived of the Datathon, conceived of how it would work, worked with the faculty, took time off from their busy work schedules to meet with us on a weekly basis, just to make sure we had all the financial resources that we needed to make this Datathon possible. And so I'd like to thank our Atom Advisory Board, Stacy Volmar, Dora Cortinas, Oscar Perez, and our chair, Leo Cordero. And I'd also like to thank our sponsors from Assurant, Southern Glazers Wine and Spirits, and Resource. And students, check out their websites. They're technology leaders and very good employers. Okay, so visit their websites and check them out. Okay, and of course, the judges and the mentors, this would not be possible without you, as well as an incredible team of faculty. Of course, everybody knows Dr. Richard, but also Dr. Lina Buayad and Dr. Arijit Singh Gupta, who worked hard to make sure that we had the data that we needed for the Datathon and also provided mentorship to our students. I'd also like to acknowledge our events team, Celine Torres and Luisa Perez, our technology team, Rigo, Andre, and Carlos Perea, and of course, our Atom program manager, Claudia Packer, who enjoys organizing these events and actually thrives on it. And I just want to thank her for making sure everything went smoothly. And so to our champions here today, we'll be in touch in terms of the next steps. Please feel a source of pride in what you have accomplished over this 1 week. There will be, of course, some social media announcements about the accomplishments of everyone, and also an article to feature your projects. Okay, so fall 2020 is approaching, and hopefully we'll see some of these innovations live in fall 2020. But till then, enjoy the rest of your summer. Your rest is well deserved, and we'll be in touch. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, everybody.